Hey folks, John with Complete Technology Solutions, your friend in the computer business. All right, so tomorrow is D-Day. We're actually going to be doing a couple of live tests for the podcast, and we're going to do our first trial run tomorrow night. Now, if you guys want to be there, that would be awesome. I'd love a few people in there to kind of give us some indication of how it's sounding, how it's looking to you guys. Obviously, this is kind of a getting to know you session on the first one, but you know, I've got a couple things planned, so you'll probably get a kick out of that one too. Not to mention the fact that I'm still kind of learning the hardware and software that we're doing this with, so it should be an adventure. I would definitely think it'd be an adventure. Well, without further ado, I promised you guys I was going to take you along with me on this adventure. Let's set up the podcast station. I'll be right back. All right, guys. There's zero doubt that just burnt right into that platform. So this is, for those who don't know, Stronghold Legend. Time to make a pie. Here we go. What I wanted to do from the first time I opened up that VIC-20 and started banging out programs. All right, guys, so like we were talking about last time, what I wanted to do is I wanted to make this interesting. I wanted to be able to move around the flea market a little bit because a lot of you guys know we have a lot of square footage here and there's a lot of different areas to shoot that which, you know, might be kind of cool. So other than the obvious studio, which is where we'll be doing most of the broadcasts, I'd be able to take this over to my computer shop or to the RC shop or whatever and do the broadcast from there. So I wanted to add a little bit more variety to it. So I thought, well, let's build it mobile. So what I did is I found one of these old rolling baker's racks. And I know you guys have seen these before. As you can see, this thing is far from new, but you know what? It's functional, it's cheap, and I wanted to, you know, have something that would move, and this actually moves. So the first thing I did is I had to decide on a monitor. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to have two monitors. You're actually going to see the primary monitor is the one I'm going to be talking to, and then I'm going to have a secondary monitor over here on the actual stage where I'll be able to pull up websites, and if we're talking about specific things, I'll be able to pop those in so you'll be able to see them full screen. And this is not just for the podcast. This is going to be for things in the future too that we're going to be doing on reviews, gaming PC builds, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll be able to snap back and forth pretty quick without actually having to use Stumpy. Now, this is the part that everybody's going to kind of laugh at. I decided I was not going to use an actual gaming PC for this build. It just wasn't necessary. It's overkill, right? So here's what I did. I picked up the other day one of these HP Z220 PCs. And basically this is a quad-core Xenon processor. It's a great machine. I'm going to run 32 gigs of RAM in it. I'm going to run two primary hard drives. I'm going to have a solid state as the actual primary. By the way, this motherboard did not support M.2, so that is kind of a pain in the butt, but we went ahead and went solid state on the primary. Secondary, a couple terabytes, not that we're going to need it, kind of overkill. I did have a GTX 1080 Ti that I was using in a Bitcoin mine back in the day, and I decided I was going to go ahead and throw that in here. I figured if there was going to be a weak point, that might be it with the video card. So we're going to stay with the 1080 Ti and see how that works. Not to mention the fact that that does give me the option to branch out to 4 or more monitors if we really need to. I don't really see that happening, but so be it if it does. All right, so the first thing I was doing is kind of looking at mounting. I have this little flat rail back here, so I thought we don't want to do that. And actually the way you saw it sitting was what I was thinking might be optimal. So coming along with me here, I'm going to center this up here, and then I'm going to bring the main monitor to this point. Now, as you can see, that's going to give me a lot of positioning to put other things up here. I mean, not that we do anything really scripted. I like to do things kind of off the cuff, and you guys know that. So, but this is what I'm looking at. This will also give us optimal position for some cabling here. And none of this is new, guys. This is all used stuff. I want it to be, you know, something you could find laying around your shop to build. To kind of inspire you guys. If you ever want to do something like this, it's not hard. It's not expensive. Just do it. That's all there is to it. All right, so let's go ahead, and I'm going to try to do this with you guys in frame here so that you can kind of see what the process is. All right, so I'm going to turn this over and face him up so you can see what I'm doing. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get the power and the HDMI cable sorted out for the primary monitor. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting, we had an HDMI out on this card as well as we had a display port. Now, I didn't have a secondary display port or a monitor that had a display port. So I'm using a display port to HDMI adapter. But as you can see, I could branch out 2 DVIs on here if I really wanted to. I really don't think that's ever going to happen though. So basically what's going to happen, the primary monitor is going to go in here. The secondary monitor over there or wherever I happen to be in the flea market is going to run off of this one. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to coil this up. And we are going to make this very compact, guys, and neat. That's kind of what I'm shooting for here. When I'm rolling it around, I don't want a lot of motion. I want it to be stable and still. So what I'm going to do is we're going to zip tie this down in the position that we like. So let's go ahead and get this plugged in. There we go. And actually, now that I think about it, I think I want to use this position is a good coil position for all cabling. So we'll do it for power and everything. So right at the moment, we're going to go ahead and just kind of put a loose one on this and hold it in place. And then we'll move to the power cable. Now, for the power cable, I thought it might be a good idea to at least have one strip up here. I mean, granted, we're only powering a couple devices, but who knows if that's going to be the case in the future. So what I did is I picked up one of these power strips. Now, this is way too long for what we're going to do, but it will also give me room to get this power in wherever we are. So it'll give me a little bit more room. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that power strip right about there. That's going to give us optimal position. I'm going to back up so you can see it here. That ought to give us optimal position to get to everything that we need to. And then if I have to plug into it also, we'll still be able to do that. So let's go ahead. We'll strap that one down right there. I like that. And I'm going to leave a lot of slack in this, guys. I really want to, I want to have a lot of room to mess with this cable. So the bottom cable itself may not be secured. I might just coil it and lay it down there. And then that way I can uncoil it whenever we're using it. In here, it's probably about 3 feet from where we're going to be positioning this thing to where the actual plug is. So yeah, it should be fine. But, all right, securing this down here. And I like that. All right, guys, once again, everybody asks, why so, crazy with the cabling? It's ours, man. We're going to do this. It's going to be something we're using. Let's make it look cool, right? All right, so let's bring our power cable over here. And actually, let's get the other power cable for the PC. Be right back. All right, so regular old power cable for the PC. We're going to plug this in. Now, we are going to need a keyboard and a mouse as well on this. Now, I did have, there are a couple of options here. On the station over here, obviously I have a keyboard and a mouse that I could use for this, but I thought it might be a good idea to keep it separate so that I have just one keyboard and mouse that's dedicated to this unit and then not have to actually use any of the cabling that I would for my secondary unit over there if I was like showing something or recording video or something. So we're going to use a regular old standard USB keyboard and a mouse for this build. All right, so just for storage sake, and since this client is kind of thin here, I'm going to push this back, and I'm going to run the keyboard and the mouse using the same cabling as the monitor cable and the power cable for the monitor. That's going to give us a lot more continuity of cabling and should still leave me plenty of room on the other side. Now, you guys may notice I installed, now this is something that does not normally come on these systems, an extra USB 3.0 card down here. I wanted the extra USB 3 slots just because I never know what we're going to be demoing, if I'm going to end up changing cameras or any of that kind of stuff. So I wanted the access to the extra ports. Not to mention the fact that I dig having a Type-C. And that was kind of cool too. That way you can just plug in a Type-C and be done with it. So, all right. So keyboard's going to go through there. We're going to coil this up under the keyboard. And that'll sit right there. Now for the mouse, we're going to follow the same pathing. By the way, these are regular Dell USB mice and a keyboard. Nothing special about them. Sooner or later, I may go wireless on this. But once again, I wanted to build this on a budget with you guys so that we can see that this can actually be done without breaking the bank. That's the whole point of this build. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to cable these in right here. We'll coil that. We'll cable to here. We'll bring this down this side so it's with everything else. Coil it up and then plug it into right here. So we'll be right back with you and I'll show you what we got. All right, so as you can see, we have all of our cabling in now and we've got it going up to our monitor. There are two other cables that I'm going to end up putting onto this monitor. There is an external USB here, so I probably will end up running that USB cable over here so that I've got some USB ports on the side of the monitor. Although that's not really super important since I have access to all the USB ports on here anyway, so it shouldn't be a problem. Now, the next part, for the camera itself and the microphone that we're going to be using, as I wanted to make sure that it's portable and movable. I did not want to wire the camera into this right off the bat because I don't know if, number one, it's the one we're going to stay with. We're going to use that Logitech BRIO. And number two, I want to make sure that it's something I can change out on the fly if we're testing another one. So I didn't want to cable all that in like we did this. None of this stuff is ever really going to move. So we're going to stay with it. All right, so I'm going to flip this around. By the way, guys, you see why I did this? This is going to be so easy to manipulate and move around, so I love it. All right, let's start out with our camera. And like I said, we went through that GoPro here. Oh, by the way, the GoPro. So there will be a video coming out very soon. I'm talking like, I don't know, probably tomorrow or the next day. Do you remember I told you guys that I was going to take that GoPro Hero 7 down to the coast and do some scuba diving in Costa Maya? Well, we did, and the footage is astounding. I may put like a small, quiet soundtrack behind it, guys, but listen, if you've never scuba dived, and I give you no other advice in the world, try it once. It is the most amazing experience. It was super, super cool. And watch the video. Just stay through it all the way through. There's all kinds of little tidbits as you go through it. And it starts from going down all the way through it. So keep an eye out for that when it's coming. All right, so for our camera, we're going to mount that right there. And like I said, this is one thing I did like about this monitor, guys, and I'll show you up here. The monitor will slide up and down. So if depending on what angle I need, I want to be more or less straight on here, but my chair isn't very high, so I don't really want the camera looking down at me. So we'll kind of play with that and figure out what's going to be the optimal angle. But let's go ahead and wire this in. So what I'm going to do is we're going to bring this around the back, and I'm going to coil it on the back side of the monitor here, right next to the USB ports, without necessarily tying it down. Now I might put a zip tie around this cable because it is quite a bit longer than it needs to be, but overall I think this is a good distance, and I will flip this back around and show you guys in just a second what I did here. And we'll throw a second one on just so we don't have any cables flopping loose. Now, the microphone was a different story. Obviously, the microphone has to be able to be pulled out onto the disc. So it's going to have the cable uncoiled or just kind of coiled up but not zip tied because I'm going to have to be able to move it around. So, all right, we're going to take this there and we're going to go into a USB 3.0 here. Now, I will show you guys what we've got going. Let me flip this around and get a little bit closer so you can see it. All right, so right now we've got the camera. This is the camera cable right here. We're coiled up nicely on the side so it shouldn't flop loose. But it should still give us a little movement if we need to move the camera around. And we're going into, right around here, into this USB 3.0 slot right here. The actual microphone is going to go into this slot. So let's get that mounted real quick. And what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to put it over here on this side. Want to take a ride with it. That's pretty cool. All right, so we're going to put it on this side. And remember that it's got to be able to move. So actually, we're going to put it on this side, because if we put it over here, we have more movement with the length of the cable that we're dealing with. So it's going to go into this USB right here. Theoretically, this is here. I could tie these together just to keep them from wiggling around when you're moving them. And then coil this up. Now that's going to give me a good, 5 feet to get out onto the table. And as you can see, it's going to be mounted about, 2 feet from where I'm going to be sitting. So it should be fine. All right, so we'll coil that up and set it right here. And I don't want to zip tie that, guys, because that's got to be able to move. So we don't want to get too crazy. In fact, I might even just kind of, there we go. So it'll stay there. We don't want it to go flopping around. All right, so essentially what you're seeing right there is going to be the actual podcast studio. So whenever I'm on the other side of it and I'm talking to you guys, this is what you're going to be seeing me on. This is what I'll be seeing you guys on if you're talking back to us, which is pretty cool. All right, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to flip this thing around, and then I'm going to get an actual shot with this, and that's how we're going to wind this thing up. So we're not going to wind it up on this camera. We're going to wind it up with a capture from this, and let's see what it looks like. Let's see what it sounds like, and I'll let you know how the mounting is of it. Here we go. All right, guys, and here we are. So this is going to be the actual broadcast situation here. You're going to be able to see it a lot like this. Now, it's going to evolve a little bit, obviously, and things will change as we go along. The camera may change, the quality may change, the audio may change. I may end up with a boom mic at some point, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to that. We'll get to that at some point. Mayano, these guys are great, so I'm really hoping that in the future we can have some of their items that are sponsored on here. But we'll see how that goes. Now, one thing I want to show. Now, and we're testing this, guys. We're doing this live. We're doing it real together here. So the way I've got this set up currently right now, over the monitor that you can't actually see, you can see the third monitor over here, but you can't see the second monitor. I've actually got a display over here so that I should be able to transition back and forth between talking and showing you guys things. So to give you an idea what that would look like, this is what you'd be able to see. So I'd be able to go through, yes, I know it's my channel. That's just terrible. I know that. But you would be able to go back and forth and to show you guys individual things, and then still be able to come back and to talk to you about, anything that we happen to see on here that we find interesting. So as I said, this is going to evolve. It's going to get better and better as we go along. And I have a few things that are kind of planned here. The wall behind me, guys, I'm going to be telling stories about this wall, and there are every single board up here, every game system that's up here, all of this has a story, and I cannot wait to share some of them with you guys. I really can't. In fact, I'm pretty excited about this because I've only told probably 10 people ever all of the stories on this wall. So you guys will be enjoying that too. Aside from that, this is going to give us the opportunity to do some live builds, and I'm thinking it'd be kind of cool to join up with Paul on a collab to actually build PCs live at the same time. I know you guys get a kick out of that. We might be able to test some new products while we're doing it, and just see what it looks like. I mean, this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. As far as the mic, we'll see what it sounds like. Once again, guys, I'm not recording off the lapel right now. All of this is coming off the studio mic. So I'm curious to see how it sounds, and the distancing and everything else on it. So we'll take a look at that. But once again, I'm happy. I love the way this turned out. This thing is totally mobile now, which means I can move it to any point in the flea market I want to and still be able to do the broadcast. So you guys are going to get to see a lot more than just one studio. You'll get to see all kinds of areas where I work, where other vendors are, RC stuff, my gaming computers out there, or the retro stuff, all that. And that's really what I want to do. I want to share what I do with you guys. And I know that's kind of what Paul has in mind too. So, all right, well, listen, thank you so much for watching. Look out tomorrow. The video that's going to drop tomorrow is going to be that scuba dive, guys. Just pop on some headphones and watch this thing. It is so, so cool. If you want to talk about it or you have any questions about it, let me know. I will be monitoring. You guys know that. Nobody ever sends a message without me seeing it or responding to it. I'm pretty good about that. So we'll see you guys later. Podcast tomorrow night. Don't miss it. We will be testing tomorrow throughout the day to verify we have it all in order, but everything is looking perfect from this end. So cross our fingers. It should go well. We shall see. Have a great night, guys, and a fantastic week if I don't talk to you sooner. And don't miss the podcast. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.